recording at the moment. So we're starting to record, and now I'm going to go live.
Okay.
So, and I have to.
I'm still trying to get it up on my. That doesn't sound right. I'm still trying to get it to work on my side. So, I have to go. It's been a while since I did use this thing.
All right. So, someone very clever online basically gave me the shortcut of how to just have all of your code.
Okay.
Pre-programmed on Zoom, so all you have to do is sort of copy paste it.
Okay.
And it's great. I so far it seems to be working, although maybe it's a dexterity thing. Well, because I have to hold it down with my thumb.
Yeah.
And then, because I'd really rather not. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because that's going to be a lot of work with everything going on too.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. Because I'd rather not have to type it in manually.
Yeah.
But it looks like that's what I'm going to have to do right now.
Don't you love technology? Because I know I don't.
Well, I mean, I think part of it is just kind of catching up with all of this stuff that's going on.
Because I mean, I never, did we ever need video conferencing up till all of this? So yeah, it's something I never really bothered with, like, oh, that's for like the corporate goons, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And now it's like, I really wish I had done that.
Yeah, and I don't know, like in my downtime here, I've been trying to catch up slowly but surely, learning all of it, stuff that I probably should have learned in college, but you know, that's life. Let's see.
Yeah. I think I'm doing kind of the same deal. Granted, I mean, I work in a job that I was never trained for, so you know, it's like, hey, you're an English major, be a programmer. What? All right, so now I've got to find the app on the store.
Right. It's endless logistics.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just tired of this crap. Okay.
Thank you. But yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're doing this, because if it was me, everything would have fallen apart by now. So
I don't know about that. We were dangerously close to everything falling apart yesterday.
I'm sure, yeah. That's why I was like, I didn't really want to even ask you any questions, but it was just like, just to be on the safe side, I'm forgetting I don't even remember what I asked, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just the normal logistical questions, and I feel terrible sometimes, just like I'm very remiss, like, oh, I forgot that.
Well, no, I mean, you have stuff going on, so. Well, dude, I asked you something that if I was not I would not necessarily lazy, but not stupid as hell this week, I probably would have just been able to be like, oh, I just scroll up and I look at things, and there it is. Reading's fundamental. So
exactly. All right. So what's happening right now is that I'm getting a loading bar, so it is working on live streaming the news.
Okay.
So
cool.
Hopefully, so what we may do is just let it ride, basically.
Okay. Just people come in and people come in. I mean, yeah, I don't think of it. It's not like they're going to eat up bandwidth or anything like that. I don't think so.
No. I mean, if all of us have different IP addresses, then it'll be. And that was the point when Berek approached me about doing this. We talked it over, and Ben has had so many, such a wide acquaintance, and we thought, well, how are we going to include everybody on the internet, basically? And then it became quite clear that maybe what we need to do is just narrow it down to a core group.
Yeah. And then, because otherwise it's honestly, it's too much. So like we were saying, that's why his Facebook account got hacked, because he was a private, for fuck's sake, he's a private Facebook account that had basically started trending. So, which is massively impressive, quite frankly.
Right. So, so I got an error message saying it could not stream. So we're trying again, and we're getting to about like 1/3 of the load, and then it just said unable to stream.
Okay.
And, so I'm kind of like, it is quite possible that I have incorrectly entered one of the letters in the code. It won't let me copy it for some reason. I'm sitting there like the.
Yeah, our stuff at work is like that, and it just does not let you copy and paste, and you're like, why? That doesn't. Okay, sure.
It's not helpful at all. So yeah,
okay.
I'm still stuck at 1/3 at the moment.
Okay.
I was able to do it successfully yesterday.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good. I mean, it could just be, it also could be people trying to log in early maybe too, because I mean, how many people are we expecting to show up?
There is 9 of us total.
Okay.
Possibly a silent 10th person, my sister.
Okay.
Maybe. My sister does not want to speak, but she wants to be involved because she and Beth and I were so close. So she gave me something to read, which I'll do in a little while, but we'll just see. In fact, I'll key that up right now. Okay, so let me see if I can try and fix this streaming key. I think.
Okay, go for it. I have your account up, so I think once it comes up, I'll be able to see it. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So let me switch back now that I can see you.
All right. Let's see if I've done this correctly this time.
No worries.
Because this time it let me copy paste, and I actually had to like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's okay. I mean, look, people know what's going on, so it's a hard time anyway. So I don't think anybody's gonna be like, "What the hell?" You know.
I hope not. And I said in my post yesterday on Facebook, do bear with us as we figure this out, because so far it's not been very
intuitive. Yeah.
No, not. Yeah. But not for lack of trying, I guess.
Yeah.
So let me see.
Okay.
Sure, something else.
Okay, let's unmute. Yeah, just trying to write the speech. I think I wrote it 20 times and I'm still not happy with it, so. Gotcha. But it's, it is what it is. So it's at the point where it's like, at least it's on paper, so.
Right, and I'm just, I have an idea. I'm not trying, this isn't about me.
Yeah, yeah.
This is about letting other people share what they want to share about Ben, and my job is to try
facilitate. Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know what to say. Like, I was likening it to people yesterday, which is like all of this stuff is in a paper bag for me.
Yeah.
And every time we get started doing this, the paper bag rips.
Yeah.
It all spills out, and then it needs to be put back into a new paper bag.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how that's going to.
No, I mean, it's going to be, I mean, I've had to do these before. It's going to be rough. That's quite frankly, I mean, it's important to do, and it's important for people, I think. Right. I hate doing them because usually one or two things happens is your emotions get a better review or you go on lockdown. But like when I go on lockdown emotion wise, I usually stay like that for a couple of days, but it's, it's whatever works. So it's whatever gets you through it. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Okay. So I fixed it. I realized I overcopied. I copied too much code. I copied too much code.
I can hear a echo. Yeah. Yeah. Echo. Yeah. Yeah. Oh God, I hate hearing my voice. Okay, so
getting massive feedback.
Okay, I can see live now. Okay, I just saw my face for a second there. Okay, I can see your face now. So let me go. I don't know how to get back to the main channel, and wow, that echo is gonna drive me crazy. Okay.
So I muted.
Hold on. Let me hit mute on mine. Okay. Now try. Maybe it's me.
Yeah, I had two windows open.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what's going on, and I think Beth Ann is here as well.
Okay.
She's coming on.
Why can I not? Okay, I just had you. I don't care about people playing Xbox games. Oh my fucking God.
All right. Hi, guys. Just to let you know, we are currently live because we were going to do a test. We just figured we'd just let it ride because the connections have been so kind of finicky this whole time. So we are currently streaming, but we will begin the service, the memorial at noon. So in 15 minutes. But we are currently streaming live. So just to let everybody know, because.
So no picking your nose is what you're saying.
Yeah. Not yet, unless you stop your video on Zoom.
Yeah, that's way too technical for me right now.
Right.
So I would just be like.
Or just.
Or this one.
Go off camera.
Oh yeah. What are you doing? No, the cocaine. I'm doing cocaine. Cocaine's less embarrassing.
Right, or just,
Yeah. That would actually be awesome to do just in the middle of the service, put it up, and then just disappear. Just like, hey, it's a magician.
like we're a bunch of cats or dogs.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, Ben would have loved that too. He'd be like, oh my God, where did everyone go? All right, awesome. So it looks like everybody's coming in here. Just, I think we're waiting on 2 or 3 more. So, and then we can just, everything's fine. We're good. We figured out all of the technical stuff at last.
Usa. Calm hands. I don't know what that is. I just made that up, I think, but
it's fine. I mean, this whole thing could just be interpretive dance.
Yeah. Well, the worst part is every time Nick talks, I'm just going to be he's going to be talking about something very serious about a friend. I'm just going to look at his Big Trouble in Little China poster the entire time. Like,
oh, I love that that's what that is. You might.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like
the check is in the mail.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like my favorite movie of all time. Like,
yeah, same. Yeah. I'm kind of glad this is like, that's the one good thing about COVID is like the remake got put on pause, and I'm like, okay, cool.
I'm good with that. I'm good.
But yeah. Although apparently they're saying now it might be a sequel, so who knows? So
okay, that I'd be more okay with.
Yeah, a sequel. I mean, I've seen enough bad sequels where I could be like, I could just ignore it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's so hard because like obviously Kurt Russell is one of the greatest and the most likable people, but at least The Rock, if they stick with that, is not exactly unlikable.
Yeah, he
shares that quality.
So charismatic.
Yeah, so hopefully it doesn't become, everything else that ruins our childhoods. Yeah.
You mean Michael Bay? Oh, I'm sorry. That was out loud.
And it's valid.
Yeah.
Very valid. All right, let me see.
I'm going to go, if we're streaming now, I have to go check on my parents to make sure that they are able to stream, because...
I'm going to go grab a glass of water real quick, because I know at some point I'll be like, now here's the thing about Ben! Talk.
Right, grab your tumblers now.
That's actually a really good point. I need to grab something to drink.
Right, grab your tumblers, grab your water bottles. This is going to be...
And your whiskey.
Yes. And...
I'm still working on coffee.
I mean, I'm singing later, so I have to keep the vocal cords loose.
Absolutely.
Water sounds like a great idea, though.
Yeah, it's excellent. Everybody went on water break.
See, whereas I'm like, maybe I should have tissues handy.
Yeah, or, hitchhikers, always bring your towel.
That's true.
Oh, I picked the wrong month to quit drinking.
We picked the wrong
year.
Okay, so Dave is asking, is there a lower resolution option? My awful internet is lagging something fierce.
I'm not sure.
And whoever Knife Art is saying, sorry, dressing up then, I'm wearing a D&D t-shirt, which honestly was my almost first choice, but.
Excellent. So are you minding the chat that's on Twitch right now?
I can see it. Oh, Isaac is the one asking. So yeah, I think Isaac, you're fine. So yeah. Apparently Isaac can hear me. It's really weird talking to somebody that talks to you back like a computer. Hello, Dave. Oh, actually Dave's in the room. So hello, Dave.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay.
Wow, really? Okay. Yeah, apparently I'm minding the chat, which is great. The Chatterbox guy is minding chat. Seems appropriate. So.
Fair enough.
Hi, Dan. A wandering Campese appears.
And Jesse's here.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we should have everybody get starting here. We just to remind, just to alert everybody who just joined, we are currently streaming live. And just so that we were going to do a test earlier, and we figured we just let it ride, because once we've got the connection, we're just going to keep it, you know, and not try and restart this whole thing. So so we've still got about 10 minutes or so. So anybody who needs necessaries done, like needs to use the loo or needs water or anything like that, now's a good time. Hi, Mel.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, you'll excuse me 1 second, just make sure that Sophie can see this. So, so please talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Here's a topic. The 100 Years' War was neither 100 years nor a war. Discuss.
I have not enough history or option to even tackle that.
Yeah. I'm trying to respond to Dave right now, which is why it looks like I'm looking up at a fly on the ceiling. Because he apparently can get the chat, but he's having a hard time streaming. Yeah. Well, he's getting better internet, I think, Monday. So.
Good timing.
Yeah. Well, you do what you can do.
Yeah.
Okay. I think he saw that. Yeah. He's getting chunks at least. So.
Okay.
There's Berek. He's back. Hi, Berek.
I am back. I am back and front and all around.
You know, that reminds me of the joke that I heard the other day. It's kind of awesome that the Flat Earth Society has members all around the world.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they have absolutely no sense of the irony in that statement.
Yeah, no, they, of course not, because that would imply an intelligence over 5. So, you know. I honestly kind of want it to be like the Monty Python thing where you could just fall off the the side of the earth sometimes, because right now I just book a ship. So, and Chris Johnson's a jerk. I'd just like to point that out on the chat channel. So,
well,
look up.
He just joined?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I got shoes on too.
I suppose I should look at this.
Yeah. My original thought was actually to dress up really nice and then just be naked for the Ben level of joke about that. But I was like, that might be, but I'm sitting out in my living room and that might be a bad idea.
Yeah, no, there it is.
The neighbors are like, what's going on?
Yeah, that'd be bad.
I have no idea how to mute myself on this. There it is, mute. That might be important.
I was just reading Isaac, so of course now it's like,
yeah.
Oh, open mouth reader. That is ridiculous for him. What?
He just, we don't need, hold on, I'm gonna mute. My wife's here, so I have to mute us because uncivil things are being said.
I'm not saying anything uncivil.
Okay.
I'm reading the comment.
Beth Ann. Hey, Jesse's here.
Can't talk and have yourself muted. I'm trying to start the wave.
can't do that.
Only funeral that's ever I've seen a wave go by, so that's kind of cool. Hey, Paul and Jesse are here. Guys who are just joining, we'll probably get started in just a bit. Just relax. Don't go anywhere. You're in your house anyways, but.
Right, good. All right, so we're all good to go there.
Someone remind me to kill Isaac after this.
Why?
You'll get it when you see it.
Oh.
That wascally widow wabbit.
Yes. Oh, goodness.
You want me to just tell everyone we're going to be mostly
Isaac's having much too much fun.
But you knew there was going to be jokes at Ben's wedding. I mean, come on.
It's not a wedding, honey.
And did I say wedding?
You
Funeral.
did.
Wow.
Memorial.
Memorial. Whatever. Okay.
That's a good one.
The thing that's important that you know, the thing.
For some
Okay, pretty.
thing.
Yeah.
You all right?
Nope.
Okay.
That's a ridiculous question.
Is there a way to like maybe like settings so you can see like the tiles that people have?
Yeah. So Trevor, you just muted yourself.
I know. I'm overly loquacious. I figure everybody wanted a break from my obnoxious voice. So.
Like.
Sure. Does anybody have any photos they want to share of Ben? And do you know how to do share screen if you do? You do not have to. We're all here just to talk.
Yeah.
I was just going to do this and be super techie about it.
That's an awesome way of doing it.
Let me see what I have.
From the wedding that I used for Facebook, where he's standing in the aisle. He looks really good in that picture.
It's a great picture.
Yeah. All of ours are, well, not all of ours, but the ones that we have readily available are all of us on roller coasters. So
all the ones from Space Mountain.
Yeah. Ew, Phil. Ew. Are you okay, Dan?
No.
I know. She just asked me the same thing. I said the exact same thing. She's like, you okay? Nah. Oh, I love the Guy Gardner costume.
Oh, yeah. That is on my phone.
Well, yeah.
Okay, how do you share photos? Because I have one that I definitely want to share.
So if you are on a desktop, if you roll your mouse over the lower portion of your Zoom window, there should be the control panel down there, and there should be a feature highlighted in green that says Share Screen, which will then flip it around and basically show us what you've currently got on your screen.
Okay.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. And it should, on mine anyway, on my interface, it's sandwiched between the chat window here on Zoom and the recording buttons.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad you see it. And also for everybody on Zoom, you can record this to your personal computer via Zoom and keep a copy essentially for yourselves. But not required. It's all going to be recorded and broadcast on multiple platforms anyway. So, so you don't have to, but that option is available to you, and that feature is enabled. So, let me see. Let me make sure we'll just get started here in a couple of minutes, and everybody has what they need: water, lube break, towel, tissues,
black tar heroin,
rubber chickens, whatever we need. So I'm just gonna make a couple more notes here and get started.
Oh, I should have totally grabbed my animal Muppet out of the garage and just done the entire memorial as animal. That would have been awesome.
You got time?
That's, yeah.
Do you even know where it is?
I kind of do, yes. Have you seen our garage?
Yeah,
No.
I have. I'm afraid of
It's
it.
like Raiders of the Lost Ark in there.
It is.
Actually, that gives me an idea. Please hold.
She has the Grail? That's amazing. Isaac, if you can hear me, as far as I know, nobody else is frozen.
So yeah, just you.
Yeah, it might just be you. Hopefully you can hear that. It's a little hard for me to type right now.
Do you want your cell phone so you text him?
That's appropriate.
That's fantastic.
Nice. That seems very appropriate.
They're a little dusty.
Yeah.
But they're still good.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
This is for the talent portion of the memorial.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're supposed to have talent.
I know.
Talent? What's that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to run a D&D campaign right now? That seems odd. That's like my only skill.
Yeah, right.
You walk into a memorial service, roll for initiative. Oh my God, I'm going to use that next week. That's the best part.
All right. So it's 12:01, and we are streaming live.
Okay.
So when everybody's ready here, we'll begin, and I'll lead off, and then, or at least lead off with some of the general housekeeping, and then Berek will turn it over to you.
Yep.
But all right. So
it looks like we lost Holly off the video feed.
yeah, she's not in the participants. So let me chat with her 1 sec. So yeah, so let's just hang on 1 second and for Holly to rejoin. Okay, so we'll just get started here in 1 second. We've got tech support handling it.
Is tech support Scott's new name?
I mean, someone of many talents. So, okay. So yeah, so some minor technical difficulties. So I tell you what, Holly, if and I hope you can still hear us, but maybe not. What we may do is we may come back to you a little later in the cast, and let's see, let me tell her so. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is get started. So I want to welcome everybody to this very unusual memorial for our dearest Ben, and I wish we were meeting under much happier circumstances, but it is what it is, and so we're here to remember Ben and celebrate his life and how dear he was to all of us and how much he's meant to all of us. A couple things. We are obviously broadcasting this live on Twitch. So if you are able to make comments and chat on the Twitch channel, there we go, here she is, then you can go ahead and do so. We have someone minding the chat. If there's anything in particular that, that people would like to remember or add, we will do so at the end of the lineup. Any other questions or anything, and anything specific that you want to have read during the broadcast, you may text me directly. My phone number is 805-551-8455. Or just say so in the chat. Either works. So our first speaker today is Ben's brother Berek, and he will begin our remembrances. So Berek, take it away.
All right. Well, I wrote this down so that I can, get through it hopefully without fumbling for words. Thank you all for coming. Ben was one of my favorite people since the day he was born. Even before he was born, really. Mom and Dad were rooting for a little girl, but I wanted a brother, and I was quite vocal about it. When I was told it was a boy, I danced around yelling, "I won! I won!" I was 5 years old. Ben and I had a contentious relationship over the years. When he was little, he quite liked hitting me. One time he climbed up on my back, started hitting me on the head and shoulders, and informed our mom that I was his hostage. He wasn't trying to get anything particular. He just wanted to take me hostage because we'd been watching the news and it was the middle of the first Gulf War. But that was, 30 odd years ago. Over the years, we veered between best friends and competitors, occasionally even crossing over into adversaries. But we always came back together, and we always loved each other. I think one of my favorite memories is the period where Ben and I both had annual passes to Disneyland about 17 or 18 years ago. And I know many of you know just how much Ben loved Disney. He was just an absolute Disney-phile. He even got annoyed when I ended up on Jeopardy and Trebek asked me about Disney, and I had to sort of say yes, I like Disney, and look back at Ben, who was staring daggers at me because it was no, that's his thing. But we would go all the time at the drop of a hat. Random days after classes at Moore Park College, whenever. We would go down, hit one ride, have dinner, and come home. We were just utterly spoiling ourselves with Disney. And I think I can best describe it this way. There was a 2-week period where he and I went to the park 10 times between Ben and Dad and all the time the three of us spent there. I can't think about Disneyland or Disney World without thinking of them and smiling. Even right now, it was and always will be our happy place. And I know that every time I go, in a way, I'll be visiting them, Ben and Dad, the three of us going to Disney together, always. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Berek. So our next speaker is Holly. Holly, if you're ready.
I'm ready.
You're ready? Wonderful. Then it's all yours.
Okay. I wrote it down because I'm going to break like 6 times, so bear with me. There's too many stories to try to tell them all, which I think all of us feel like. Over the 15 years, Ben and I have gone on many adventures and shared thousands of giggles. We would get together for our podcasts, bad movie nights, game nights, go to see shows at Largo, and the countless trips to Disneyland, creating many inside jokes along the way. So one trip to Disneyland, we were on Winnie the Pooh. It was cold, and I stupidly said, "This wind is cold." And Ben said, "Well, I can make a warm one for you." And we giggled the entire ride. From that day on, anytime Ben went on Winnie the Pooh, he would text me, "This wind is cold." It always made me smile. Ben could do that. Make me smile. Oof. Even when I was feeling at my lowest. And I tried to be that person for him too. So I'm gonna read an excerpt from Winnie the Pooh. You'll understand why. "Today was a difficult day," said Pooh. There was a pause. "Do you want to talk about it?" asked Piglet. "No," said Pooh after a bit. "No, I don't think I do." "That's okay," said Piglet, and he came and sat beside his friend. "What are you doing?" asked Pooh. "Nothing really," said Piglet. "Only I know what difficult days are like. And I quite often, I don't feel like talking about it on my difficult days either." "But goodness," continued Piglet, "difficult days are so much easier when you know you've got someone there for you." "And I'll always be there for you, Pooh." And as Pooh sat there, working through his head his difficult day, while the solid, reliable Piglet sat next to him quietly, swinging his little legs, he thought that his best friend had never been more right. I sent that to Ben a few months ago, and he asked me which one of us was which. And I said, we're both, because that's what friends do. And that's it. That's all I got.
Well, that's a lot. All right. Thank you, Holly, so much. Dan, if you're ready to go, you're up. But if you prefer, we can call on someone else. But if you're ready, we're ready to hear you.
I can go. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
So I have this flaw where I have a really hard time. Many of you know me that I have a really impeccable memory for like trivia and things like that. Like I can remember who wrote what, who drew this, who acted in this movie, no problem whatsoever. But I have a really kind of a personal flaw where I don't remember my own experiences, really. Like a lot of times, I don't remember the first time I met somebody. I just remember becoming their friend. Ben is different. I remember specifically the first time I met Ben, and it was at Wizard World, and we were introduced by Adam Freeman. And we stood in line together, and we just chatted, and we really just hit it off. We didn't like become best friends immediately, but there was a connection. I met Berek that same show. Ben introduced me to him because we just kind of hung out together the rest of the day. we got closer as the years went on. This was probably 2006 or 2007. I just moved to California in 2004, and I was really struggling to meet people and get to make friends. And Ben, I consider to be the first real, true, lasting friend relationship that I made here after I moved here. Ben and Berek and they were pretty much like family. Like, I remember when the fires made me evacuate from my condo up in Santa Clarita, and they were like, hey, come down to Canoga Park and stay with us for the night. Bring your stuff. It's cool. You know, and we just developed a bond to where after Bill unfortunately passed away, they invited me to come live with them because they knew I wasn't happy where I was up in Santa Clarita, and I was commuting like 100 miles a day to get to work, and they generously opened up their home to me. And we just got closer and closer and closer as that went on. Ben and I I almost felt like we were inseparable. We would go to Disneyland together all the time. Before I met Christine, he was my Disneyland buddy. We would go and, you know, I remember one particular time where we went to Disneyland and everything broke. All the rides were broken. Like, we went and Pirates of the Caribbean broke down and other people got stuck on this. And we were walking around like, is it dysfunctional Disney Day? What is going on here? Because and so every time we went, if something started breaking down, we'd be like, it's dysfunctional Disney Day again. And he would know the most, I think I'm a trivia nut, but he would just okay, so the reason that statue is there is because of this, and Walt put it there because of this and this and this. And it's like, oh, that Alice in Wonderland, that Alice, the only time you see Alice on the ride, she's actually haunted. And a lot of people actually think that they see her head turn and stuff like that. And he would just have this knowledge. He was like a Disney tour guide. It was crazy. And then we would go to shows at Second City before he started really getting into his love for comedy and stuff. I mean, he always had a love for comedy, but before he really started doing Second City as something he was really interested in, and we would go to all these Second City shows to see Misty Lee, and it got to the point where a lot of people who we were seeing perform would recognize us, and they thought that we were brothers because we were always together, to the point where one time Ben said, no, we're just really good friends. In fact, if something happened to one of us, the other one would have to go jump off platonic friend leap. So, the other thing about Ben that I'm always going to remember is his generosity with his time, his money. He gave the best gifts, always looking for gifts for everybody, even when it wasn't your birthday or a holiday. He was like, hey, I got you this. When we got Nisa, and poor little puppy was, abandoned and she had a hard time sleeping at night, Ben would go and sit with her to help keep her, calm when she was up at barking and she couldn't handle it. And he was there for her, even though it wasn't even his dog. Excuse me. But the other thing I'm going to remember about Ben is just how much he loved comedy, and he could always make me laugh. Always. Even with the most silly, eye-rolling pun, I would start giggling uncontrollably, and I never could really make him laugh. It reminds me of a story I heard about George Burns and Jack Benny. How George Burns could always make Jack Benny fall on the floor with laughter. And Jack Benny could never make George Burns laugh. Not once. To the point where Jack Benny's like, I'm going to get him this time. And he stripped off all of his clothes, went into George Burns' hotel room, and waited for him to come in just to go, ha! And George Burns apparently found out that was happening and sent the cleaning lady in first. Ben could always make me laugh. But whenever I said something that I thought was clever, most times I got, that's funny. So he was one of my best friends. He will always be one of my best friends. He was a brother from another mother and father. And I will miss him forever. I love him. That's all.
Thank you, Dan. That was wonderful. All right. Jessica, you're next.
So I'm not from any of the performing background that a lot of you guys are from. So I'm a terrible speaker. And I wrote a bunch of stuff down, but I'm still going to mess it up. Actually, Trevor, you gave me a good idea, because one time at Comic-Con, Ben picked something up for me, and I figure maybe I'll distract you guys with that so that you can ignore what I'm saying. So there's that. Ben and I met in high school. He was my best friend. And we joked that at this point, we could have raised a drinking age child together for how long we've known each other. God, then, you know, like a few of you said, there's so many stories and so many different aspects of our lives and friendship. I mean, the first time I remember really meeting Ben was when he came over from his group of friends in their trench coats and stuff, and he stood next to me across our quad or whatever, and his friends started yelling over something I couldn't really understand. I see you, Berek.
I've told this story to people.
Something about butt girl, because I was thin but had a really big butt. And what? Go ahead, Bear.
It was bend her over and fuck her up the ass.
Yeah. But they called me butt girl, and yes. What did they say? And I don't think he told me until a little while later. I think the only time Ben and I ever fought or were mad at each other was back in high school, and it was that first year, and it was because he had said something derogative about me being a cheerleader, which I'd never been a cheerleader before until 11th grade, and I was just like, I'll give it a shot, it might be fun, and I lasted one semester. But he said something while I was still a cheerleader, and I took offense to it, and that lasted, you know, we were upset with each other for like a week or two. He's one of the most honest people. He'll just tell you straight. And I remember one time he said something and I made a face, like I just pulled a face, and he just looked at me and said, "You should never make that face again. It doesn't look good." I was like, "Thank you." And so I think about that sometimes when I'm making faces. Ben and his family throughout the years introduced me to so many of my favorite things that I will be thinking about Ben for the rest of my life. You know, they got me to try sushi for the first time. I didn't like it very much. I love it now. But they got me to try sushi. He introduced me to Doctor Who. So many TV shows, and like Vaughn and the Villains. He dragged me to see Vaughn and the Villains, and he would tell me when they were traveling, and we talked about, because I just moved to Portland, that if they came back up here, he would come up here, and we'd go see them together. And Dan, kind of the way you were saying that you wanted to make him laugh, I always wanted to introduce something to Ben that he would love, because I loved everything that he showed me, and God, I just wanted to impress him. And he was always like, it's okay. You know, I never got that ringing endorsement of, you know, that was amazing. And I kept trying, you know, it's been 21 years of trying to impress Ben. God, there's so many things that I wanted to talk about, but also I could go on forever, I'm sure. As far as generosity is concerned, and this is, I think, where Ben got it from his dad. And I remember my first semester in college, which was my only semester in college for a long, long time. But towards the end of it, it was right after 9/11, my parents had told me that I didn't have to apply for financial aid because my dad had made too much money the year before and I wouldn't, you know, qualify or whatever. And they said, don't worry about it. It was Cal State Northridge, that it didn't cost much. And I was actually really enjoying college more than I had high school at any point. And I was doing better in college than I had in high school. And we got a letter in the mail in November saying that if we didn't pay my tuition, that they were going to kick me out. And I went to my parents and I was like, what happened? I thought this was no big deal. And they just kind of like shrugged it off as like, we're sorry. We don't know what to do because your dad lost his job and blah. And I think I was upset, and I told Ben about it because he was my really good friend and we were actually hanging out a lot at that point. And the next thing I know, he was presenting me with a check from his dad for my tuition for the semester. And I mean, first off, that Ben went to his dad about that, and that his dad would do that. And I told him, you know, I don't know when I'll ever be able to pay this back. And his dad told me, I don't care. Don't worry about it. What I want you to do is I want you to keep going and keep working as hard as you've been working. And that'll be enough for me. And if you can ever pay me back, that's great. If not, that's enough. And I didn't get a chance to pay him back because he passed away before I could. But, you know, I'll always remember Ben and Berek's dad forever and ever. He was a wonderful person. And he made wonderful people. And every time I would go to Disneyland, I would stop at his paving stone and take a picture and send it to Ben. And then he would text me some hateful message about why I was there without him. I could keep going, but I will stop. I will let you guys go. And, you know, if you want to come back for the next 18 years worth of Ben stories, I'll tell you sometime.
Thanks, Jessie. I'm sure we will, you know. Nick, you're up.
Hello. First of all, I'm just incredibly honored to be able to be invited to talk about Ben. I wrote a bunch of stuff down. So if I'm looking off into the distance, that's what I'm doing. I bet, woo, let me try it again. Take two. I met Ben nearly 20 years ago on the steps in front of the PAC at Moore Park College. He was an overweight nerd who loved theater and puns. I thought maybe I had been cloned or found a long-lost brother, or at least I had found a kindred spirit. And over the years, those feelings never changed. I always felt a deep connection to Ben, and I feel like I could easily spend the next 40 hours telling stories of hard laughs and good times. One of my favorite stories was when I was living in San Francisco. Ben was in town, and we went to a restaurant famous for its dim sum. There was a group of about 8 of us, and we must have ordered everything on the menu, and the food was pretty fantastic. Everything Ben tried, he loved, item after item, until he took a bite of something and said, don't eat that, it's not good. I said, well, Ben, you know what they say. And he said, what? I looked Ben in the eye and I said, you dim some, you lose some. And he didn't laugh, which surprised me because I thought it was like a parade-worthy pun. Instead, he got really introspective for a moment, and he looked around the table and he finally said, is that what I sound like to other people? To which we all nodded, and Ben just said, I don't like that. And of course, then uproarious laughter. Puns, food, introspection, building joke on joke. Ben was a kindred spirit in so many ways. I saw so much of us in each other. He introduced me to Mystery Science Theater. We'd argue the merits over whether movies were good or bad. And he really did reawaken my love for the Muppets. And sometimes I like to think that he was the Statler to my Waldorf. But it was abundantly clear to me from early on. There was one way in which Ben and I differed. Ben was comfortable and unashamed with who he was, while I was worried about things like popularity and what people would think of me. Ben was always inclusive. Ben was kind and generous in a way that I only wished I could be. One of my earliest memories of Ben came after a late night rehearsal back at Moore Park College about 20 years ago. A mutual friend who had recently lost his job was on his way to his car. Ben, unprompted, handed this mutual friend gas money, maybe $10 or so our friend could get home safely. The friend was flabbergasted. The friend said that he didn't know if he had enough gas in his car to even get home, and already had used all of his change to get to school that morning. This friend was just planning on running out of gas and calling AAA. As his friend was effusive in his gratitude and fighting back his tears, Ben somehow neither minimized this friend's appreciation, nor did Ben take much credit for this incredible deed. I would have never thought to give a friend gas money unprompted. If they asked, sure, absolutely, but unprompted. And even if I did such a thing, I would have hired a skywriter to let the world know about my magnanimous generosity. And here was Ben just waving it off like it was nothing. I was a stupid, self-absorbed teenager, but here was Ben, also a teenager. After this mutual friend left, I asked Ben why he did that, and Ben said, it's what I would hope someone would do for me. I asked Ben how he knew this mutual friend needed help, and Ben said, I didn't know for sure, but he seemed worried about driving home. This is one of a million moments of Ben's kindness that he probably just forgot, but I feel like it had such a profound impact on me. I still think about it all the time. Cut to 17 or so years later, Ben and I are killing time wandering a mall. We had met for dinner and to catch up, and Ben was telling me about a gift he had just purchased for someone. And I can't recall the exact details of the gift, but it was something I was absolutely floored by, as usual. It was usual for Ben gifts. And as Daniel said, if you've ever been given a gift by Ben, you know what that is. He had this uncanny ability to give the most perfect gift, and I'd always been total shit at gift giving. And I wanted to give gifts like Ben gave gifts. And I don't know, I had an anniversary, it was like the holidays, I don't remember exactly, but I thought, like, you know, now or never, I'm going to ask Ben his secret to finding these amazing things. And Ben said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, I just think about what that person loves, and then I find something that I would want for myself, that if I bought it, I wouldn't want to give it away. Then I buy that thing and I give it to them. It's not surprising that one of my earliest memories of Ben and one of my last were both lessons on how to be kind, on how to spread love and happiness, because that's how Ben lived his life every day. His generosity and goodness was innate, as natural as flying to a bird or swimming to a fish. And just like humans aspire to fly and birds, like birds, or command the ocean like fish, I know I always aspired to be the brand of kind Ben was, effortlessly. I feel like there were so many crossroads in life, these little moments, especially in teaching, where I have to choose between being a hard ass or being unforgiving. I'm sorry, being a hard ass and unforgiving, or choosing kindness and love. And I know it's because of Ben and his influence and his friendship and his love. I choose kindness every time, even when it's harder to do so, because when you choose kindness, it means you have to give a piece of yourself. And I'm so thankful that Ben shows such kindness every day and gave these tiny little pieces of himself to all of his friends, because that means he's alive in us every time that we're kind. Ben and I didn't talk every day. In fact, there were long times we went without talking, not because of a fight or anything, but because of the rat race of life. Like true family, when Ben and I would reconnect, it was like no time had passed. It's really interesting to hear Berek say that when he found out Ben was going to be a boy, he said, I won, because I feel like the moment any of us met Ben, we won. I miss Ben. I love Ben. There's not a person on this planet that I'd rather argue the merits over Magnolia with, which was a good movie, by the way, or who I'd rather ride the Monsters, Inc. ride with. There's not a person I would rather watch erotic cinema on a big screen TV in my living room with. Val was there for that one. There's not a writing partner that I'd rather argue jokes with. And Ben was right, by the way. My joke was fucking terrible, and we shouldn't have changed it from what he originally wrote, but it is what it is. There's not a person I'd rather share a kilt with. You know, I think we all have this version of the afterlife, of what it could be. And I so hope that it's real, because I can't wait for the day where Ben and I can yell down from our balcony seats, voicing our displeasure and cracking ourselves up like we always did. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, who could forget the epic viewing of that film? I still reference it.
It's still one of the funniest, I think, moments of my entire life.
It was. I think of it sometimes as one of those Monty Python-esque sort of pieces of performance art. It was. I mean, we'll repeat the story some other time, or when this is over, because it's too good. All right, Stefanie, it's your turn.
Well, like, excuse me, sorry. Well, like everybody else, I feel like I could talk about Ben and Ben memories for just days, weeks on end. And as people are talking, more things are popping into my mind, like, oh, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that. But I did write stuff down because like everybody else, hard to keep composure today. Ben and I knew each other for a little less than a decade. So we didn't get to know him for very long, but it's hard to imagine life without him. I met him in a weird time in my life when I was just starting to discover and define who I was. We became friends fast, as I imagine most people did with Ben. And right off the bat, I could tell he was one of those people who truly knew how to love others unconditionally. And not once did he ever prove me wrong on that assessment. Even before I could see who I was becoming, Ben made me feel loved for who I was and for who he could see I'd become. He helped me find the person that I am today. He helped me learn to embrace being my dorky self, his words, and learn to be happy being me. Ben was one of the first people to affectionately call me a nerd, and I loved it. And coming from him, it felt like a badge of honor. Absolutely. Sometimes I would randomly tell him how awesome, amazing, funny, and incredible he is, and his reply was often a very sarcastic, I know you are, but what am I? And whenever he'd make a reference to something that I didn't get, he never made me feel like I was being judged. Instead, he would light up, absolutely thrilled that he got to be the one to share something exciting with me. And I know a few people have mentioned that he was a really good gift giver. And there was one Christmas, I went over to his house and I found the perfect gift. And it was like, finding the perfect gift for Ben always felt like a cosmic achievement. It was always something I wanted to do. And I found this Spock tiki tumbler. And I'm like, this is perfect. I'm getting it for Ben. So I go over to his house and I hand it to him. And he unwraps it. And straight face, he said something along the lines of, wow, you have spectacular, impeccable taste in gifts. And then he hands me my gift, and I unwrap it, and it's the same exact Spock tiki tumbler. He was there for me during the darkest times, reminding me, reminding me that the light was never out of reach. And I know that I wouldn't be the person I am today without his friendship and his influence. And he did all that just by being himself. I don't think he knew when we met that I needed a person like him. And I don't think he knew at the time how wonderful of an impact he had on my life, because he was just being himself. He loved sharing his joy. So many of our adventures consisted of things we would just totally geek out about, like Disneyland days, Universal Studios, puppet shows, and even just turning backyards into outdoor movie theaters so we could watch the same movies we'd seen 100 times because we both just loved them so unabashedly. There was one time we drove up to Santa Barbara to see a live Q&A with the Muppets. We made a whole day out of it, taking the drive very leisurely and then just meandering around town, engaging in conversation before the show. And he, of course, surprised me by getting the VIP tickets so that we could have a personal meet and greet with the Muppets afterward. We were the last to get in line, and I don't know if he planned that or not, but we were the last in line, and it took us almost 2 hours to get to the front. And since we were the last guests, we ended up getting a little extra time with Kermit, Miss Piggy, Rolf, Walter, and Pepe, and I have never seen a grown man fangirl as hard as Ben did. He was just glowing. He practically bounced the whole way home, just singing Muppet songs and grinning ear to ear. And a few weeks later, he surprised me with this frame and a photo of us. And it hangs on my wall. And every time I see it, it takes me back to that wonderful day with my incredible friend. His joy was ceaselessly contagious, and that was just Ben being Ben. He always had the nicest things to say about people, and they were always very specific too. It was never just a general, oh, that person's amazing. It was always, this person is amazing because such and such and such and such. And there's so many of you that I haven't met that I feel like I know because Ben would just, he would beam when he would talk about the people in his life. And of course, everyone knows how funny he was. We'd go see this show, Puppet Up, which is an improv puppet show at the Jim Henson Studios. And when they'd ask for audience suggestions, Ben's always got picked. I'd always say like a dozen different things, and not one of them would even come remotely close to being good enough and never got picked. But Ben would just like casually throw out one thing, like it was the easiest thing in the world, and he'd be like, yes, that's it, we're going with that. It's hard to believe that Ben's no longer in this world. It's hard to believe that we've lost him already. But I can still feel his love for all of us, and I can feel our love for him. I know my life isn't the only one graced with an everlasting impression from Ben. I think he's helped so many of us learn to love ourselves a little more and to find a little more joy in life. And in that way, we'll carry him with us forever. And in that way, Ben will always be a part of our world. And Ben, wherever you are, thank you for being you. Thank you for being a part of my life. I'll love you forever, my friend.
Thank you, Stefanie, so much. We all miss him. If I may, everybody, a little bit of housekeeping briefly. I received a message from a mutual friend of ours, Nick. Nick definitely remembers him. Robert Macklin says hello, and then basically, I'm sure that Mrs. Ben as well, as we all do. I'd also like to take this opportunity. We have another person who has joined us here in the Zoom meeting. My sister Deirdre is here, and she will be speaking about Ben after Beth Ann's turn at the very end. We'll also have some more remarks from Jesse as well. But in the meantime, we're going to continue, just letting everybody know that that is forthcoming. So, Trevor, it's your turn now.
All right. Cool. Can everybody see me okay? Because my Twitch stream just stopped, so I don't know if I'm visible or not. So, okay, cool. Here goes everything. All right. I spent most of the week trying to come up with what to say here. And I'd like to take a second to thank everybody that's already spoken, coming up with a speech that defines how important Ben was to us, his kindness, his compassion, his friendship, and trying to distill all of that down into about 10 minutes is really no short task, and everybody that's spoken has done it very admirably. While I was trying to think of what to say, like everybody's already said before, there's thousands of memories that involve Ben, all of them good. I kind of started thinking instead of more what Ben would do, what he would say, maybe excluding the groan-worthy puns, but what his focus would be. And Ben is one of the most selfless people I've ever been fortunate enough to encounter. I think he would want us to spend time, he would want me to spend my time making sure that you as friends and family were okay. So I'm going to use my time not directly talking about my good friend, in a sense. Ben had excellent taste in people, so based on that, I don't really have to tell you that he was a good man. Based on the fact that you knew him and that you're here, you already know all of that. I'm going to use my time to make sure all of you are okay, as I think Ben would have wanted. I got a lot of pages, so it's going to be a while. Sorry, folks. A wise man named Viktor Frankl once said, "That which gives light must endure burning." And I think that's how a little bit like we feel right now, burned. Both wounded and cheated out of precious moments, many would have been experiences with our dear friend. And it's easy to be both sad and angry at the loss of a person so important, not just to us, but to the world as a whole. The reason I bring up Mr. Frankl, however, is another reason. Frankl was a Holocaust survivor who saw the horrors of the world can harbor firsthand, but he never gave up. Years later, he formed a class of psychology known as logotherapy. It's very interesting. I'd recommend looking it up. And one of the tenets of that entire school of thought is that while you may not have control over the events of the world that happen to you, the pain, the loss, the suffering, you do have power to decide how you react to them. We all feel the pain of Ben's loss, and we should. He was an amazing human being that made the world a better place. But Ben, by his very nature, will never leave you. I'm not necessarily talking in a spiritual sense, just Ben, by his humor, his gentle nature, his friendship, affected all of you, and in doing so, permanently changed you to become a better person. And it's true, people like Ben make the world a better place by making us better. Just by our experiences, and even just hanging out with Ben and playing Nintendo or something ridiculous, Ben had a way of making everything a personal and positive experience, and you can learn from that, and you can make it part of you. Nothing is strong enough in this world to take that away. So every day you wake up on this earth, even when you go about your daily lives, it doesn't matter what, pumping gas, brushing your teeth, looking at your office computer, bored out of your mind, there's that little kernel of Ben, that little spark of your friendship that's part of you. So I do urge you to grieve, to cry, because I'm having a hard time not doing that right now. But as you do, remember your friend, our friend. Watch the first season of the new Muppet Show, or the original season, actually, and groan at the bad jokes. I never realized how much of a part of a sense of humor that was until Ben gave me the first season of the Muppet Show. He was so excited to give it to me. And I watched that like, well, it got better as it went along. Okay. But some of those jokes were so spot on, Ben, that it was ridiculous. Me and Mel were watching musicals the other day because Ben loved musicals. Newsy's not my favorite, but I discovered yesterday. But it was awesome just to have that connectivity to Ben and something that he loved and something that was positive. Do things that make you think of Ben, and then it's just like he's there with you because he's part of you. You can put on a musical soundtrack and sing so loud the stars can hear you and dance along. My neighbors already think I'm crazy because I did that 2 days ago. You need to just joke, laugh, and sing and do whatever it is that you used to do with your cherished friend, but most of all, love. Viktor Frankl also said that the salvation of man is through love and in love. And Ben loved all of you, and we love him back. You need to never let that spark that was Ben fade, and Ben will be always with you. That's all I got, and I managed to do it almost without crying. Got so close, just so close.
It's okay, we have fun here. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you. All right. Next is Beth Ann. If you're ready to go, hon, we're ready to hear you.
I mean, I don't know if I'll ever be ready, but I'll give it a try. So I tend to find my expression through music, and I know Ben was no different. So it felt appropriate to sing a song. Before I do that, I did want to just say a couple things. As many people have touched on, Ben was a huge Disney fan, and I was lucky enough to get to join him as well at Disneyland on several different occasions. For one of his birthday celebrations, we went to Disneyland and we Disney bounded, and I decided we were going to Disney bound as Peter Pan and some of the members thereof. And so Ben was Peter, which always felt appropriate, as he always felt like the boy who would never grow up. Always childlike and full of wonder. And since he was Peter, it was only appropriate that I was his Captain Hook. So, and aside from Disney, as others have mentioned, the Muppets were also a big part of who Ben was. So I'm now going to sing a little Rainbow Connection in his honor. Oh, let's see how this goes. Okay. Why are there so many songs about rainbows, and what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it, I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Who said that every wish would be heard and answered when wished on the morning star? Somebody thought of that and someone believed it. Look what it's done so far. What's so amazing that keeps us stargazing? And what do we think we might see? Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. All of us under its spell, we know that it's probably magic. Have you been half asleep, and have you heard voices? I've heard them calling my name. Is this the sweet sound, the call of the young sailors? The voice might be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. La da 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 da.
Thank you, Beth Ann. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. I think a lot of us think of that song when we think of Ben. A little bit of housekeeping. Jessie had requested to speak one more time, but I think she's changed her mind. Next is going to be briefly my sister, Deirdre, who's here. So Deirdre, dear, if you're ready, we're ready for you.
Thank you, Val. I hope everybody can see and hear me. I thank you, Berek and Val, for organizing this and giving me the opportunity to speak. I was scared to speak. I really wanted to, but I was scared because I'm afraid that maybe I wasn't as close with Ben as so many of you are. That song was so beautiful. He played that for me over the phone once when he was asking me if I knew this one part, and I was like, I don't. And so he like played it for me. It was perfect. So that was such a perfect way to honor him. I don't want to speak too much, but I just, as has been said by everybody here, I think the most unique thing about Ben was his unfailing kindness. He was one of the kindest people I've ever met in my whole life, and I haven't known a terribly lot of very kind people. And you know, I've known him for just about as long as Val has, and I came to think of him as a brother over the years because I don't have a lot of family. And one of the ways that he always demonstrated his incredible kindness to me was working so hard to understand our differences. When we were younger, we had a ton of differences, very big differences politically and religiously, and that was our favorite thing to do, was to debate our political and philosophical differences, and that became like our time. Whenever I would come to visit Val and Ben, like he would need time so we could spend hours, and Val would just leave the room while we debated politics and religion for like 3 or 4 hours. And after I moved away from LA, which was a long time ago now, we would continue that on the phone over the years, where I used to be much more conservative and now I'm not, thank God. But you know, we used to debate, and over the years I'm like, I'm so sorry. Now after recently, on the last time I spoke to him, about a week and a half, 2 weeks before he died, we had a big 3-hour conversation about politics and religion, and he was so smart, not just kind and funny, but he had so much amazing insight into the way the world worked and the way people worked. And I think that was the root of his kindness, that he sort of just got, like he saw you, like when you were upset or when you were struggling, he just kind of always could like see it and think of the right thing to say, or like the right hug to give. You know, no one gives hugs and no one ever will give hugs like Ben. But so I felt really called to share the last conversation Ben and I had, because it really gave me a lot of comfort. And, you know, I really think, I agree, that's what Ben would want, was for everyone to take comfort. He was in, he was struggling the last time we spoke, and we talked about death and how he felt about it. And he told me that he was gaining a lot of comfort from the idea that all matter and energy are permanent. Nothing disappears. Only the patterns change and rearrange. And I told him, as he said this, as he was speaking, I got the image in my head, because of course I'm talking to Ben, of Phantasmic, where they spray the different, like Mickey and, you know, the magic hat on the water. And that made him cry. And he said he loved me. And I said I loved him. And we didn't get to speak again after that. But I know that I think it would give him a lot of joy if we all held that image of him, like a big 30-foot Ben as the grand finale of Phantasmic forever at Disneyland. Because that's what my kids think of him, you know, Uncle Ben, who lives at Disneyland, you know. He's like, yes, you know, the little door in the tree at the bottom of Sleeping Beauty's castle. He says, that's my house. So I wanted to share that image because it brought him a lot of comfort, right? So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, darling. Berek, I think, wanted to say a few more words as well. So, Berek, we're going to turn it over to you one more time. So you're on.
Thank you all so much. I loved hearing these stories. I can tell you that over the years, Ben told me most of them because he loved you all very much. This is a little less structured because I'm just speaking off the cuff and I've had some alcohol, so I'm a little tipsy. You guys talked about Ben's generosity, and he learned it from Dad. Dad taught us to be giving of ourselves. Every birthday, Dad would give us presents instead of the other way around. And even his method of giving gifts, of finding something that he would like and giving it to that person. Dad taught us that. That was how Dad bought gifts for kids, was he bought something that he would like. And inevitably, it was the right way to go. And far more than even I did, Ben learned those lessons and kept them and carried them forward. I remember one of the first times that he and I ever actually gave Dad a real gift. We busted our asses for 3 months getting together baseball cards for Dad of his 3 favorite players of all time. And I have those cards now. But it was Willie McCovey, Willie Mays, and Juan Marichal. And let me tell you, those were some hard cards to get relatively cheaply. But Ben was like that, and Ben would give you a gift without prompting, out of the blue. A few years ago, without my ever mentioning that I was interested, he bought me an Apple Watch and just sent it to me. Because he could. Because he had the access, and so he did it. But he is, was, and always will be one of my favorite people in the world. I know when it comes to family that in some ways you are not obligated, because no one is obligated to love anyone, but you are inclined to love them just for being family. And it was so much more than that. He and I and Dad were inseparable. In a lot of ways, losing Dad kind of broke the both of us, but we held together. And even though I moved to the East Coast, we would talk, not as often as we probably should have, but every couple of weeks to a couple of months, we would just catch up, and we'd spend 3 hours on the phone just catching up with each other. And I know I'm rambling, I'm sorry. I just want to say that I think he would be very happy with what we did today. It's I can tell you it's what he asked for. He specifically asked for people to come together and tell stories and laugh, and he didn't want it to be a sad thing. He wanted it to be a happy thing. And I think we did a pretty good job of that. Tears and all, I think we did a pretty good job. And Beth Ann, if you hadn't sung Rainbow Connection, I was going to. It is absolutely a song I will always associate with him. But again, thank you all. Thank you everybody who's watching on Twitch. I don't know what else to say.
Thank you, Berek. I think all of us have been wondering what exactly to say. That's hard. And I guess if it's all right with everybody, I'm going to say a couple things, if I may. I think Ben meant the world to all of us. Even if we didn't always talk, even if even if years or weeks or months or whatever went by between talking, he is always the type of person who never let the connection lapse, not really. If it had been a while since you had talked, he would just, it would be like you, wherever you left off, that's where you'd pick up. And it was like no time had passed. And I think for a lot of us nerds in general, but especially us time traveling nerds in the theater business, you know, what is time to us? Ben is irreplaceable. How are we supposed to replace that? Replace his presence in our lives? He's meant the world to me. He's meant the world to my family. And in fact, if I may, I'm going to read something short from my mother. And she says, "My husband and I loved Ben and his family. Ben joined Adri and me as a fundraising consultant and was great, working with people so cordially and helpfully with our clients who were elected officials. Ben subsequently was the tech genius for us and was never anything short of a perfect help. We all miss him so much. You can't see us, but Adri, Brad, and I are watching and appreciate you all." He and my mom would always have these very long, protracted philosophical discussions about everything from tech, you know, and tech innovations to how Disneyland was in the 50s. Since I believe my mom was old enough at the time to actually go there shortly after it opened, and Ben was fascinated by that, as you can imagine. And I'll always remember what Deirdre said about politics. The two of them could go on about politics for ages, and you know, and I'm just sort of like, I'm just gonna go over here and make tea. You know, I'll listen, but I'm okay. I didn't expect to meet Ben, I don't think. But once you have, you know, how can you forget him? How could you go back? And we met in Nancy's costume class in college. And my first impression of him was that he's very funny and very sweet, but he's kind of a know-it-all. And at first I thought it was peculiar, but as it does, I think for a lot of us, it's the warmth and his nature just overwhelms you more than any other thought. And we got to know each other through class and so on. And I remember when things started turning serious because he bit me on my right shoulder. And I was very confused because it was after a performance, and he came up to me and he bit me, you know, like he bit me. What does that mean? It means he likes you. If he bites you, he likes you. I don't believe that I'll ever have a friend as good as Ben. He is the best friend I've ever had and will likely ever have. In his specific and unique way that we all love so much. And he always forgave. He never asked to be paid back. He was everyone's best friend because he was the best. You spend years and years with someone, and one day they're just gone. Time just gets away from us, I guess. And that's all I mean to say. And as far as I know, if anybody else would like to make any further remarks, please do. Now's the time. Please unmute yourself if you'd like to speak. But if not, then I'd like to thank everybody for coming together today, who are watching live and who have been here on the Zoom call. I love you all. Thank you so much.
A quick thought for those of you who I've known in person. I miss you all so much, and it is so good to see your faces, even with the circumstances. I know it's been years, but I still consider all of you to be treasured friends. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you all. If nobody has anything that they'd like to add, then I think that'll do it for us. So so bid everyone farewell, and hopefully we can all hang out face to face sometime soon. Bye.